an impact upon other areas of the brain, the limbic system, and via the limbic system to the prefrontal cortex, all of which are fundamentally involved in the behavioral aspects of autism, and that the ability of the vagus nerve to stimulate the gut to cause normal peristalsis, to prevent constipation, to prevent reflux, to cause normal intestinal secretion is then in some way impaired. So you have this vicious cycle of effects. Now, if it's true, we don't know it, but it's a testable hypothesis, we can then develop ways of breaking this vicious cycle and treating it. So I'm going to leave you with a few final thoughts on these matters. And the first is the neonatal hepatitis B vaccine. Had the studies that I've showed you been done as they should have been done in preclinical safety testing, then that policy would never, ever have been licensed. It would never have been allowed. The studies should have been done, they were not done, and so that vaccine was given to millions of children. It doesn't matter, ultimately, for the purpose of that argument, whether the vaccine does or does not cause autism or brainstem injury in humans. What it means is that the attitude to vaccine safety testing is wholly wrong and wholly inappropriate. The studies should have been done, and had they been done, the policy would never have been enacted. The schedule, well, again, it is alarming that the safety of the schedule has never been tested, and you as parents have absolutely every right to expect that the safety of the schedule has been tested. It never has. With all the potential for synergistic or additive or cumulative interactions, no one has ever looked at this. And they have been harping on about this in the regulatory authorities for years and years and years, and still nothing has been done. And I fear that nothing has been done because they are aware of what the outcome might be. And yet there are many, many vaccines being lined up to be shoved into this schedule without proper testing. And what I hope is that ultimately this model, or an adaptation of this model, is forced upon the FDA as the requisite preclinical vaccine safety testing model. This is not about being anti-vaccine. It's about putting a safety-first policy before anything else. And in order to do that, any new vaccine coming into the schedule, any proposed vaccine, I believe, should have to go through this model before it is ever given to children. And insight and public confidence. I should say this is the first study of perhaps about 10 or 11 that will come out of that first phase primate study. The second phase is now underway at the University of Washington in Seattle, which has with it a treatment phase, so looking to see if we can interrupt this whole process. We are also looking at the current vaccine schedule, so not just the schedule of the 1990s. So we're looking at the thimerosal-free schedule, but giving the thimerosal-containing influenza vaccine to the pregnant mothers and the monkeys, so replicating that schedule. But in the end, vaccination policy depends upon public confidence, and public confidence is shot. And with the H1N1 fiasco, public confidence far more broadly is shot, even amongst those who were previously agnostic or indeed skeptical about the claims you might have made about what happened to your children. And it was a huge public relations disaster that will come back to haunt them. But nonetheless, it's a salutary lesson about the underpinnings of this whole process. What underpins vaccine policy? And in the end, it comes down to public confidence, belief in the integrity, the honesty, and the credibility of those who make the vaccine rules. And I'm afraid that is going to be compromised. And the irresponsible aspect of this, perhaps the most irresponsible aspect, is that when it is compromised, it will be compromised for all vaccines across the board for all parents. And that will lead to major problems, and they only have themselves to blame for being less than honest and behaving with less than integrity in dealing with what is clearly a major, major public health issue. In the end, scientists can do the science, and we can give parents and the public the armamentum to effect change. In the end, it will come down to you. It comes down to you.